All right. On Tuesday, some potentially awesome news, healthcare wise. On Tuesday, the New York State Assembly passed the New York Health Plan. This is essentially a single payer health plan for the state of New York with all of the sort of accoutrement that you would expect. I'm going to take you through some of the details. This is an article I will link to from Think Progress. The New York State Assembly is set to vote on a bill today that, if signed into law and implemented, would enact a single-payer health program in the state. The New York Health Plan, as the proposal is called, is expected to pass the Assembly with wide margins, as it did in 2015 and 2016. Each of those years, however, the bill wasn't picked up in the state Senate. This year, however, it's obtained widespread backing and is closer to passing than it's ever been before. The current count has it just one vote away. A single-payer system would create the peace of mind that residents could have access to quality medical care, including outpatient and inpatient medical care, primary and preventative care, prescription drugs, and laboratory tests. State Senator Jeffrey Klein, the head of an independent caucus, whose support is critical to bringing the bill within striking distance of passing, told the Huffington Post. This latest state-level push comes at a time when a single-payer health care is increasingly popular. So on and so forth. So let me see. Anything else I need to cover in here? Okay. Now, this is, for one, this is awesome for the state of New York. Two, I think this has the potential to be a very, very good thing for the country in general. Let me go into that a bit. Right now, people are really starting to warm up to the idea of a single-payer system. All right. In fact, according to a January 2017 poll by Pew Research Center, 60% of Americans believe that the government, quote, should be responsible for ensuring health care coverage for all Americans. Not only that, but over half of Republicans with an income of $30,000 or less agreed with the idea. This kind of goes back to the things something I've been saying in a few of my videos, where, higher up you are on the income level, the more you can do things out of ideology. That's what I was saying about why I feel progressive policies have such a good high potential of winning elections in this country, is because they go to actually help people, and that's what this country needs. It needs to be helped. It needs things to be improved. And when you're in that point, it's amazing how quickly someone will change their tune from being against, being conservative to voting for a liberal, when that liberal is proposing things that will actually have a profound positive effect on their life. When we're talking just about ideology, like, I don't know, praying to Jesus or hating the gays, then that's a tougher sell. But when you're talking about, hey, I will give you guaranteed health care, versus, fuck you, you don't deserve health care, which one do you think is going to attract more people? Conservative or liberal? But anyway, at the moment, 28% of all people polled in a recent Gallup survey support single payer. So the 60% of everyone is basically whether or not the government should be involved in healthcare, or whether or not the government is responsible for ensuring it, not specifically for single payer. Now, when it specifically comes to single payer, or when they're asked, do you support a single-payer system, 28% of the public approve. All right, now I'm making a point here. Just stay with me. When you say it's single-payer, when you bill it at, depending on how you call it, like when it sort of is billed as Medicare for all, then things are a bit different. You see, the Kaiser Family Foundation survey from February of 2016 showed that when single payer was billed as Medicare for all, over 70% of Americans supported it. And, you know, in addition to that, let me go to another, in addition to that, more polling and everything from more recently, from April of 2017, a Economist / YouGov poll asks specifically about expanding Medicare to provide health insurance to every American. That was the question they asked, and the responses they got were very interesting. First off, in total, 60% were in favor, or either in favor or very in favor of Medicare for all, of expanding Medicare to cover everyone. Now, let me break down the numbers a little more. 75% of Democrats were in favor. See, there's an issue too. Again, Hillary. Fuckers in general. Establishment Democrats. 75% of your fucking party, of your base, wants this. And, oh, well, I don't know if we can do that. We'll find a way. Anyway. I will stay on topic, I swear. So, 75% of Democrats are in favor of expanding Medicare to cover everyone. 57% of independents and 46% of Republicans. 46% of Republicans support, as of April 2017, 46% of Republicans are supporting expanding Medicare to cover everyone. And I mean, that's just incredible. Like right now in this country, 46% of Republicans basically approve of socialized medicine. That's huge. All right. Right now, I mean, more Republicans right now approve of socialized medicine in America than they do of their own president. Current polling putting him at 43%. And to me, what that says is that it's not that people are against single payer. Like, you know, I've seen some numbers, especially when they're trying to be like, oh, well, I don't know if it'll ever happen. They go by those polls. They go by the polls that say, like, ask about single payer. And I think people are understandably like, okay, well, what the hell what's single payer? What's that, some weird socialist thing? But when you explain it to them, when you sit them down and say, hey, like, when they're like, hey, what's single payer? And you're like, it's like Medicare, but everyone's covered. Like, oh, okay, I understand that. Because, like, Medicare is a very popular program. And and it's a well-known program. And basically, that's the concept. You take that model, you have to tweak it and change it, modify it a bit to cover everyone. But then you just set the minimum enrollment age to 0. And boom, you have it. And when it's explained that way, when people are told, like, what it is, I mean, look at the numbers. You know, 46% of Republicans are in favor of it. When you ask them, are you in favor of expanding Medicare to cover everyone? So this is a very popular concept in this country right now, when it's explained properly. And I don't know how much I covered in this because I kind of forgot what I just said. But yeah, whenever it's an article that's like sort of Hillary supporting in the whole, oh, it'll never ever happen, screech. Then that's what they like to go with. Oh, well, only 28% are, are in favor of single payer. Yeah, because it's not called Medicare for all. You explain it to them. Okay, now let me get on with sort of the point I'm trying to make, that I'm getting to, and how this applies to New York. Right now, 60% in total of the population supports the concept of expanding Medicare to cover everyone. Now, what's going to happen if a state like New York or a state like California, who also has a single-payer program or legislation kind of moving through their government, if that state is actually able to implement a single-payer program, and if it's managed properly and it works, to me, that's basically it. That's going to end up being the absolute final nail in the coffin of private insurance and this clusterfuck of a system that we currently have. Because when people see it, like, okay, this works, it's happening, because those are always the arguments that they make. It's always some bullshit that is like, oh, okay, well, oh, there's death panels in Canada and waiting lines, and you'll die waiting to get dialysis, none of which is true. All right, if there are waiting lines or waiting periods for anything, it's based on need. If you have a serious condition, you get seen right away and get it taken care of. If you need something like cataracts surgery, which not being able to see all that well sucks, but it's not life-threatening, then you gotta wait a little bit. It's triage. You go to any emergency room, I work in the medical field, all right, and anyone who's like, oh my god, I have to wait for so long in the emergency room, in the waiting room when I go, like, that's because you are physically capable of walking into the emergency room waiting area and sitting upright. If you were on the floor unconscious, you'd get in right away. And it's the same thing with a need-based insurance system. You're treated on your needs. Anyway, getting off again on a more side rants. But anyway, let's stay on focus. I'm going to stay on topic here. So they have all the various criticisms that the right wing likes to make about single payer. And now that's starting to weaken. People aren't as convinced anymore. And in addition to that, when you start to associate it with Medicare, which is what it is, and saying, okay, we're taking Medicare and we're just expanding it to cover everyone, it starts to get more popular. Because people have something in this country. It doesn't matter how good the insurance, the healthcare might be in Canada or in Europe or, in UK or Sweden or wherever, or Australia. What matters is what they can see. And right now, like, all you have to do to get a majority of the country to approve of it is you have to bill it as Medicare for all. Give them something that they can relate to, that they can see, that they see operating and working in their country, that they are familiar with, and they support it. They see that it works. And that is the same thing that could potentially happen if New York passes this single payer healthcare plan. Is that people from New Jersey are going to be looking out across the river saying, like, okay, well, like, oh, well, it just can't work in this country. It just can't work in this country. And we need to repair the Affordable Care Act. And they're going to turn to, fucking, what's his name? Cory Booker, and be like, hey, pal, it works over there. It's working right there. I see it. Why can't we have that here? And that's the effect that this will have. In my opinion, it'll be like a domino effect. It might finally get the federal government, to actually act on this, or get it to a point where people will demand it because they will see an example of it working in their country. It's like, no, it's not in some other country. It's not in some smaller country. It's not in some homogeneous country, whatever the hell they're trying to make with that argument. It's happening here in an American state, and it's working. we want that too. That's the effect that this will have, in my opinion. So, again, links in the description. Thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you next time.